Marquette Madness is this Friday night. The basketball season kicks off with fanfare. I'm Jack Goods, joined by Becker and Connor Basch. Guys, what are we looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'm always a big fan of the dunk contest. It'll be disappointing without Deontay Burton and Wally Ellenson around, two of the reigning champs, or two of the best dunkers Marquette's had in quite some time. So I'm curious to see who steps up in the dunk contest because I think that's always a fun time. Student judges, maybe a celebrity judge. Crowd goes wild for that stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, he mentioned something that's kind of like a little fun part of Madness. With Madness, the whole thing is fun, but I'm going to look something that's more going to have an impact over the course of the season. And I think that's going to start at Madness is, do we see a lot of turnovers in this team? Because I think that has a lot that plays into team chemistry and everything. And if they turn the ball over a lot, then, that might be something that might be a problem going into the season, especially with the guard-heavy lineup that Marquette has this year.
Yeah, you mentioned the guards, and I think that's a big thing to watch is where do people line up? Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different than a normal game because you're splitting the team up 50-50. But it'll be interesting to see if you see Hanif, I assume, at the 2, Tracy at the 1, how they split the guys up. And if we see Dwayne playing at the 1 or 2, or maybe even the 3.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really is important is with how deep that they are at the 1 and the 2, what's that going to have an effect on the 3, the 4, and the 5? Because you've got Rousey, you've got Dwayne Wilson, as you mentioned, Tracy Hanif, and you've got all these guys that fill in that can play significant minutes in the 1 or the 2, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, as far as on-the-court stuff goes, the thing I'm most curious to see is who's occupying that stretch 4 position. Because Marquette has 2 centers and no traditional power forwards, so it's going to be Juwan Johnson, Sandy Cohen, Caton Reinhardt, those kinds of guys occupying that 4, maybe Sakar Anim, maybe even Sam Hauser, who's 6'7", one of the biggest guys on the roster. So curious to see who lines up at that power forward position, because you'll get to see 2 teams doing it. So at all times, there's going to be 2 guys that will have to be a stretch 4. So that'll be interesting, I think.
And we've talked a little bit about the new guys. 3 of them will be seeing for the first time the Golden Eagle uniform. 1 in Rousey we saw at Madness last year. Is there a player of that group that you're most excited to see?
Certainly Rousey. I think it's reminiscent of Matt Carlino, and I think that based on the numbers you've seen from him, maybe a little less erratic. Carlino obviously had a great season at Marquette, but could be up and down. The team kind of lived and died by him. This roster is not set up for that to be this way, but to have a knockdown 3-point shooter, I think Rousey will be fun to watch. He's the guy I've got my eye on.
Yeah, I think Rousey would be great too, but just to go away from what he said, I think Marcus Howard, don't think Sam Hauser is going to get a lot of time this year. He could, however, at the 3 spot if people aren't going to take a lot of it from him. But Howard, a guy that won a world championship this summer with one of the USA youth teams, and he could be a very bright future for Marquette moving forward. So outside of Andrew Rousey, I'd be more Marcus Howard.
Yeah, and we talked about being interested to see where everyone plays. I think Reinhardt's a player that I'm interested to see where he is at. If they're going to play him at the 4, if they're going to play him at the 3, I think he could really be either way. It kind of depends also on how they end up breaking down that roster.
Yeah, I think one thing about Caton Reinhardt that is kind of interesting is he's the only one on this roster that really has NCAA tournament experience. And if Marquette wants to get back to the NCAA tournament, they're kind of going to have to lean on him a little bit, not necessarily as a scoring output, but as a leadership opportunity because he knows what it's like to get to that tournament and how to get there.
There are a lot of questions for this Cheers team. Some of them will be answered this week. Some of them will have to wait a little bit longer. You can see all the latest on MarquetteWire.org.